So you said you build everything with relationships, right? How have you been able to build, I guess, how are you getting customers with relationships?
Number one, I just absolutely have known and believe that relationships are the true accelerator for anything in life,
Mhm.
right? Who you know, how you know them, do they know you, do they recognize you, all those pieces. And so, no, I mean, I am not the guy. I told you about my hours. Like, I don't like to work past 5. I don't want to go out to the networking thing. I want to be at home. I used to be extroverted and thought I loved people, and then I had customers. I'm like, I don't like people that much. They're a lot harder than I thought. And so for me, it really was being what I call systematic relationship building. The quick statistics about it, PJ, is the average person knows 256 people.
Mhm.
So I knew from a simple math equation that if I had 100 people in my database, in my sphere, by serving them really well, I actually reached 25,600 people through that, right?
Welcome to the LandLife Podcast with your host, PJ Riley.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to LandLife Podcast. My name is PJ Riley. Guys, if you're getting value from this podcast, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, 5 stars. If what we say really resonates with you and it's really exciting, go ahead and leave me a comment. 1 or 2 comments that really moves the needle a lot. Guys, at the end of the podcast, you're going to hear from this guy, Garrett. He's got all kinds of cool information. When you're at the end of the podcast, he's going to tell you how you can get hold of him. So stick around till the end to get all that information. Guys, one more thing before we get started. If I get a lot of people asking me about the land business, they want to know, like, how can they be involved in it? But they have a job, they have kids, they have all these things going on. Shoot me a message and I'll explain kind of how you can do that, how you can be involved in the land business without having to be involved in the day-to-day stuff. So, guys, today we got a good one. We got a really good guest, and he and I have been talking beforehand, so I know he's a good dude. Garrett Maroon, and I want to give you a quick background before I let him talk. So he's got a pretty large roster. I don't know. He's got a football card here. It's like the back of a football card. That's what we're reading.
That's right.
So first of all, I want to say thanks to Matt Kavanaugh and Tim Winfrey Jr. They introduced the two of us. So it's all they're doing. This podcast is happening, and I really appreciate those two guys. They're good dudes. So you start with just 40 people in your database. First of all, he's a realtor. Started with just 40 people in his database. Since then, what was that, 9 years ago, something?
Yeah, right at about 9 years. Yep.
Sold 550 plus houses. So that's just about insane. Head coach of the Faithful Agent, a coaching and training company for real estate investors and realtors. You co-host your own podcast, and you have a conference. So, dude, you got all kinds of stuff. And what we talked about a second ago, you have an e-commerce business as well. So, dude, there's all kinds of things going on. So, how's it going, man?
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me, bro. First of all, let me say to you and the audience, I want to learn how to start a land flipping business. So I'll reach out to you, and other people should too. And someone in the audience needs to help PJ start his t-shirt company, which we decided wear hats, lift weights, look young. That's what he does. So somebody help him do that.
That's my go-to.
No, thanks for having me, bro. Yeah, I love it.
Hey, I'm so happy, and thank you for plugging the new t-shirt company.
Yes, absolutely.
We're looking at an early summer release date for wear hats, lift weights.
Yeah, that's right. Dude, I love it. Wear hats, lift weights, stay young. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
I really like that, man. It
is. It's great. It's good stuff. Let's do it.
That might
do podcast spinoff. Yeah.
Yes, we can even do a podcast about it. I can teach old men how to look young or younger. I wouldn't say I'm young. I'm just young.
Yeah, younger. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we'll pass for 35. Let's go with that.
Yeah, right. Oh, absolutely.
So you're also a dad. Biggest job in the world, dad, husband. You got all that going. 100%. And how are you able to maintain, first of all, before you even get started, you have a lot of things going, and you're a dad and a husband. How are you able to work all that stuff? How are you able to, I guess, are you time blocking? How are you able to get everything into one day?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard. So I've got a 6'4" and we have a newborn on the way, probably in about 2 weeks. So wow. Like 4, 6 and under. The truth is, for me, it wasn't a matter of how do I fit it in. It was a matter of I made a decision that I was unwilling to miss the little years. And so what that means for me is Every other week I take Fridays off. And the weeks that I don't, my wife and I go on a date on Wednesdays from 10:30 to 1 p.m. right in the middle of the day.
Nice.
And so what I've made a commitment to for myself is I'm going to succeed and do everything possible within that time frame. I'm unwilling to go beyond it. I'm not going to just work crazy amount of hours just because I'm an entrepreneur. I've given myself a time frame, and I'm going to succeed as much as I can within that space. It's forced, yeah, I time blocking those things, but it's forced me to become, no, I'm not great at it yet, but really good about choosing the dollar producing activities, right? And not just doing dumb things just because it makes me feel productive. I do that sometimes, right? But for the most part, if you have a short, what I found, and especially in the real estate space was, I would be in the office and people would come and be like, yo, dude, you want to talk? And I would literally say, even though, love these people, but I'd literally say, is it urgent? No, I just want to hang out. All right. Hey, bro, I appreciate that, but I want to be home by 4, right? So I don't have time for that, right? If you are willing to just continually expand and contract your day, well, then you don't really have the means in which to choose efficiency, right? Because it's like, well, if I didn't get it done because I was just goofing off, then I'll just work another hour. Well, with little kids and a wife, I'm like, I'm unwilling to do that. So it honestly just started with that, bro. It's like, I'm going to prove that you can succeed at a high level without working crazy hours. And it was just making a commitment. And now it's whatever I can fit in that time. That's what I do.
Yeah. So, and as a father of kids, 16, 17, almost 18, and 22, almost 23, I can tell you, coming from where I'm at, looking at where you're at, you will never regret missing those moments with where you want to be with those kids as much as possible. During those years, you want to be in the pictures, right? You want to be spending those times and having those memories so that when they are 22, 23 years old, they're talking about those days and they remember everything. These kids remember everything. So if you weren't there, they'll remember it. I have plenty of times where my kids were like, yeah, dad didn't go that year, or dad didn't do this thing that year. So
sorry.
You're doing it the right way.
It's good. No, I appreciate that. Yeah.
As an older father who wears hats,
Right.
I can tell you're doing it the right way, brother. So,
and I think that's like, for me, one of the realizations I had, PJ, was probably about 6 months ago. I came to a realization that if someone were to ask me, what are your priorities? I would say my faith and my family. But when I started to really dive into, was that true? And I started to have clarity but the scoreboard I was using for myself was, how big is my real estate team and how much money am I making? Right. So the scoreboard didn't even have the right stats. And yet that's what was ultimately driving me. So when I would take the extra calls, or I would do the extra work at night and not hang out with the wife if the kids go down or whatever it was, it's because my scoreboard was wrong. The wrong info was on there. And I find that it's so common that that's the case for people, for anyone, especially an entrepreneur, because our brains are just wired differently. Right. And now that I'm in this space, even over the 6 months of just learning how to be ambitious in the time frame that I've set, but then be present in the other time, man, it's tough, because it's a battle to keep myself, and I don't do it great all the time, but keep myself mentally where I want to be. Right. And that means keeping my scorecard where, if it means that that I take an hour off on Tuesday morning to homeschool my oldest, then that's what I do. And if work doesn't get done, or as much as I want to do, it doesn't, because at the end of the day, if I'm measuring the right things, that's what's going to get done. And I realized, for me, I was measuring all the wrong things. And like you said, at the end of the day, I realized, man, 10 years from now, if I'm, further, quote unquote, along in my career than because I worked a bunch of hours, but I missed my kids, wouldn't matter. I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, I just don't care. And, but I'm out to prove you can succeed at a high level and do it in a short amount of time and still be present. That's my hope.
Absolutely. I am all about entrepreneurship, capitalism, all that kind of stuff, but the dollars get spent and you'll never remember them. The moments I promise you 100% you will remember them, or you will remember not being there.
That's good.
It's very important what you're doing right now. I just want to make we emphasize that. That's super important. So let's get a little background on you. Like, kind of catch up to speed on what got you to the point we're at right now.
Yeah, man. So I graduated from small liberal arts university, worked in as an assistant director in the mission office there for 4 years. And it was my wife that came to me honestly and said, "Hey, I think you'd be good at real estate." And I'm like, "I'm not an entrepreneur." Like the commission, that's, I grew up and I was taught like, get a job, let it be a safe job, all the stuff that we hear, get the healthcare benefits, like benefits package doesn't exist anymore, right? As an entrepreneur, and do all those things. And it was really her belief in me that I said, okay, I'll make a leap. So I make a leap into the real estate space. And quite honestly, I mean, I was terrible at it at the beginning, but it took me about yeah, right. For real. It took me about a year and a half where I started to actually believe like, wait, maybe I am an entrepreneur. I didn't even know that I liked it for that long. And it was okay. As I started to develop and recognize that, I didn't have to outwork them if I could outthink them. And I just really started my educational journey. Then at that point, okay, I actually like this because now it really is like, what's going on in my brain? How quickly can I come up with better ideas, or how quickly can I fail and learn and get better at what I just did? And I realized I just loved it. So, man, really fortunate, really launched my own team in 2016. And man, I've just been grateful that through just word of mouth, which is not super common in this industry, have sold a ton of homes. I'm not from here, right? I mentioned that pre-show. And so I didn't know a lot of people. And man, just really fortunate. I think, my hope is that my experience and story will encourage people that you don't need to go be great at everything. You got to master one thing. I don't know how to do anything but work relationships, but I can do that really, really well. And it's giving me staying power. It's giving me a huge business, and it's giving me tons of opportunities. So yeah, man, super fortunate to be where I am today, and had a small team, which was me, one agent and one admin. It was spending about 5 hours a week. Just merged it with a buddy so I could work even less. So I work 2 hours a week, and it makes about 250 grand a year. So that's awesome. That is by far my biggest entrepreneurial win, and now launching these other things. So it's been great, man.
That's awesome. So you said you build everything with relationships, right? So relationships are a very important part of your journey, right?
That's right.
So how have you been able to build, how are you getting customers with relationships? Are you going to networking events? Are you, are you talking at church? How are you doing that?
Yeah, no. So, I number one, I just absolutely have known and believe that relationships are the true accelerator for anything in life, right? Who how you know them, do they know you, do they recognize you, all those pieces. And so, no, I mean, I am not the guy, I told you about my hours. Like, I don't like to work past 5. I don't want to go out to the networking thing. I want to be at home. I used to be extroverted and thought I loved people. And then I had customers. I'm like, I don't like people that much, they're a lot harder than I thought. And so for me, it really was being what I call systematic relationship building. The quick statistics about it, PJ, is the average person knows 256 people. So I knew from a simple math equation that if I had 100 people in my database, in my sphere, by serving them really well, I actually reached 25,600 people through that, right? And I know that I have a 91% chance to convert that business from any of those 25,600 people if they're referred to me. Right. Because I think one of and that's a better math equation than cold calling 25,000 people, right? Where you get a terrible conversion. What I started to really realize is, and something I've tried to do for myself and other people, is really simplify. Humans aren't that complicated, right? At the end of the day, what do they choose? Overwhelmingly, if someone they trust tells them they can trust something, they'll do it, even if it's someone they don't know, right? You go on Amazon and there's 2 products, one has 1,000 reviews, the other one has 10, and they seem the same thing. You buy the 1,000 one all day, right? Because humans are wired to just, if someone is transferred trust, I'm going to go with them. And so it wasn't necessary for me to go out and I think we've got a lot of people, business owners in general, who have a bunch of relationships, but there's no consistency or care that comes with it. Like, I see you, I recognize you. What's up, man? Talking, dude, if you know anybody thinking about buying or selling, like, give me a call. Okay, cool. But there's no follow-up, right? So the most simple way to elevate the relationships in your life and to generate business is understand, how does a friend act? right? It's that simple. How would a friend act? Well, a friend doesn't reach out to you once every 8 months. And every time you do talk, they're like, hey, by the way, send me business. That's not how a friend operates. A friend is consistent and just
Yeah.
reaching out and caring for you. They show up over and over and over again. And it's ironic as since we're talking this week because the Surgeon General just came out and said we have an epidemic of loneliness, and he literally equated it to the same health problem as obesity, and he said it's similar, similar to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's how dangerous this is, right? Wow. So we know that, especially with COVID and everything, and there's stats about this, but we know that the average person would identify fewer than 2 close relationships in their life, fewer than 2, wow. Right? And so at the end of the day, when we talk about any business, I don't care what industry you're in, the problem is we treat people like they're transactions and commodities. We say we're relational, but we aren't. What are relationships? Relationships are you consistently reaching out to care for them, not asking for business, not talking about you. You're asking questions and you're listening, right? No one would want a friend who's like, by the way, every time you call, hey, do you know anyone buying or selling home? Like, bro, just leave me alone. At some point, I'm not going to answer. And so like the simple truth to succeed in relationships is recognize they're alone. Your job is to show up so they know they aren't alone. Right. And it's literally that simple. And if we can do that consistently, to me, that's the goal. The byproduct is, who do they want to succeed? Who do you want to succeed? The people you like, right? The people you trust. It's that simple. And so if we can just understand what's really going on and just be that for people, we're going to be fine. And I think that's how people succeed. Huge. We just complicate it.
Yeah, that is huge. Okay. The loneliness thing, man, that hits hard because it's the truth, man. You can stick out big time just by showing you care about people.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I don't know. I really do. I can tell you really do care about people. It's a genuine thing. Okay, let's say I'm a guy who cares about somebody, right? Mm-hmm. How do I convey that? How do I show these people that I care?
Yeah, great question, man. To me, it is the consistency and the curiosity. Okay. So consistency meaning, for example, like what my team does, we do a mailer every month, we do an email, but that's just showing up because we said we were. Mm-hmm. The real magic behind what we do is every quarter, the first month of that quarter, I do a video text message. And it's something super simple, has nothing to do with real estate. I rarely talk about real estate. It's PJ, what's up, man? January, whatever, let's say, PJ, what's up, man? Hope you had an awesome new year and holiday season, brother. Hope to see you at some of our events this year. If you need anything at all, my friend, let me know. Right? Something really simple. What would a friend do? What would a friend say? We then the next month we write notes, and very simple, less than 0.7% of mail today is a handwritten note. So, people open their mail over the trash can today, right? But you're never going to throw away a hand addressed envelope. And so the same thing, it's like, PJ, man, just want to let you know, whatever, how much I appreciate your friendship and support of me and my business, right? Sincerely, Garrett, whatever it is. And then the third month, we just do a client event and it's about them. And I never talk about real estate ever, like in June, a month from now from this recording, we're going to be doing an ice cream social for 2 hours. I'll pay for your ice cream. Everybody come, right? 100 people come, whatever. And I'm doing this because I genuinely care about you guys. And what we see is most people say, oh, I care. But then you prove that you don't, because again, it's gone so long since you've said anything. That doesn't prove care, right? They might feel like that you care for them. And then the fact that you don't stay in touch proves that you don't. And that hurts worse. Right. So for us, it's just the consistency of touches, of personal interaction that is me reaching out to care for my people, not talking about my business. And the easiest way to say it, quite honestly, is I call it systematic relationships. People ask me, how is it systems and relationships? That doesn't make sense, right? I'm like, well, let me give you an example. My wife and I go on a date once a week, right? My kids and I have, our whole family does a family movie night once a week. I take my kids out on a date, individual, one-on-one, once a month, right? That's a system. Why? Because they're important to me. So I prove it by showing up consistently all the time over time. It's the same thing in any relationship. So honestly, that's it, man. It just takes the time and it takes you being intentional thinking about them. And I think we move so fast and we accidentally make these people that we say we care about, and maybe we do, but means of, again, transaction, not relationship, because we're like moving so fast. And then every time we get there, we're trying to play catch up. And it's like, oh, dude, by the way, how you doing, man? Yeah, great. Oh, awesome, dude. Man, let me tell you about this land thing that I'm doing. Like, bro, at some point they're going to just be bored or frustrated that that's all you care about. So it comes from consistency and curiosity. I really think if you can do that well, you're fine. I mean, literally, you'll be great.
That's awesome. So you're going deep versus wide.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, the average person knows 256 people. So I have 300 people in my database in real estate. Closed 69 transactions last year off that, which is quite honestly unheard of. Yeah, but it's because those 300 people know 75,600 people, right? I can care for 300 people well. I can't care for 75,000. So again, it's just a better math equation. I'm going to serve these 300 people really, really well consistently. They in turn will become my sales force. That's how referrals work if you do it right and you do it well.
Do you have a big team?
Nope. It was me, one agent, and one admin. That was it. And we did 100 transactions last year.
That's crazy. So no team. No, I mean, a very small team.
A very small team. Yep.
Using, I guess, relationships as your team.
That's right.
To build. That's insane.
That's something
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I don't need a bunch of salespeople because it's my database is my sales. Again, it's, think about the last time or relationship in your life who, if something went wrong, who would you call? Right? Anybody listening, who would you call? And you can think of somebody. Well, think of that person. When was the last time you talked to them? It's probably been relatively recently, right? It's probably not been 8 months, 9 months, a year, 6 months, whatever it is. And when you talk to them, they're probably not always telling you about what's going on in their lives only, right? They're probably not calling and saying, PJ, man, how you doing, bro? Let me tell you about me. Right. That's probably not a close relationship you're going to call. And so again, the problem is that's how we typically interact with people on a day-to-day basis, especially through our business, because we're told you need to ask for referrals. You need to ask for referrals. You need to ask for referrals. And at the end of the day, no, you don't. Because again, when we simplify human behavior and human interaction, if I trust you and I like you, I want you to win. I just do. Right. We can all think of an example of, I had a buddy open a coffee shop. I'd never been there, but I love this dude. And maybe I shouldn't have, but I was going around like, hey, have you checked out Canvas Coffee? It's amazing, and like I hadn't been there. I assumed it was. I probably should have gone first, right? But like because I care about this guy and I trust him, I want him to succeed. That's how we actually make choices. That's how we actually make decisions as humans. And so that's the simplicity of how this works. How do you get them to like you? How do you get them to trust you? Consistency and care, showing up. That's it. Right. And so if I can get them to like me and trust me, they want people to work with me because they want me to win, because they know I want them to win. And who doesn't feel good when they say, oh, I've got a tree guy, and the tree guy goes out and they're amazing. And they're like, bro, your tree guy was awesome. Like, thanks, man. Yeah, I work with great people. Like, humans are simple. We just overcomplicate it and we make it about us when we say it's about them, and maybe on purpose, maybe not. And so it's just not a complicated thing when we just really understand what they need at the end of the day. And I know I mentioned what they need is a relationship. Just be that for them. Be a real relationship for them, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah. I think people too, especially when they're new, they need to make money, right? You got to make some money. So you start thinking wide versus deep because you're thinking, I got to talk to everybody. Well, because I don't want to miss anybody. I need to be the jack of all trades. I need to know everybody in every field versus kind of niching down and finding a certain, I don't know, whoever your group of friends are, obviously, in this case.
That's right.
And really honing in on them. I think especially when you're new, it's really tough to not go wide. Now, I'll add on to that. What about social media? Are you anywhere on social media? Are you big on social media? Are you
no, definitely not
videos,
big.
TikTok videos?
No, I signed up for TikTok this week, and I don't know that I'm going to stay because I don't even understand what's going on. But I'd never been on TikTok ever before. And no, I mean, I've got, 500 followers on Instagram. I don't even know why. I post pictures of my kids. That's probably why. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, and social media will work. If somebody works it well, it'll work. Like, I have no negative feelings towards social media. But again, at the end of the day, like, I ask this question all the time for the people that I coach. Why do your clients choose you? Why do your clients choose you? Most of them don't really have an answer.
Yeah.
Why do your clients choose you? Right. Well, the most honest, simple answer is if they like you and they are like you, they'll choose you. If they like you and they're like you. So, my job is not to do business with everyone, but to do business with people who believe what I believe and who are like me in that. So my agent loves to fish. And so I said, all right, bro, let's build a business off you fishing all the time. Right. He loves to fish. He loves bourbon, like really fancy, expensive bourbons.
Yeah.
And so let's build a business. So guess what? He's got a little teeny Facebook group of 40 people in it who love fishing, and he takes them on fishing trips or whatever, because he's going to do it anyways. And he got so much business off of, like, he got probably 10 transactions from those 40 people last year, made him about $100,000, right? Gosh. From these 40 people, just because we just made it very obvious. This is who I am. I love fishing. Hey, you love fishing too? Cool. Let's hang out. Right. And oh, by the way, you like me because I do this stuff and we get along and blah, blah, blah. And they know he's an agent. They want him to succeed. That's just how this works. It doesn't need to be that complicated. So why do people choose you, right? They like you and they're like you. And so we've got to be really honest. This is where I think social can work, but we've got to be really transparent about who we are and what we're like, right? I've got a coaching client, talking about social very briefly, but who was posting stuff about real estate all the time. Right. And she was like, I don't know why nobody cares. Well, because nobody cares. That's why. Yeah. And so I said, but what do you really want to do? What do you really love to do? Oh, she's a mom. She loves working out. Okay. Post videos of you as a mom working out. And now she's doing it and she's getting a ridiculous amount of likes. I don't know anything about social. It's not like I'm some social genius, but I just said, just do like, people don't want the ideal you. They want the real you. Yes. Right. And so be real and they'll connect with that. And guess what? Her business is growing because she stopped talking about her business. That's how humans actually want to interact with somebody. And so again, I think we listen to the noise. We follow what everybody says we should do, and it doesn't work. And there's a reason for that, right? Maybe if you got there first, it works. For nobody else. I don't care about real estate videos. I don't care about X, Y, and Z. I want to get to know the person first. And if I'm like, I like that person. Oh, they're an agent. Oh, I want to work with them. Yes. It's that simple. I mean, that's just how the decision is made.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember talking to an insurance guy and he was confused as to why his social wasn't working. He was posting just basically statistics about the insurance industry and then about his company. And it was one after the other, after the other. It almost looked like he got hacked. It looked that bad. It just didn't look realistic. And he was like, well, my hires up are saying, this is what we do. This is what we're supposed to do. I'm like, well, it's not interesting. Nobody cares. And
that's right.
Nobody's going to look at this. I mean, you're actually, and in the whole algorithm thing, if nobody's looking, you're going to start to like fade away from their feed altogether.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? And so nobody will see. And you'll see like the same likes, mom liked it and my cousin liked it. The next day, mom liked it and my cousin liked it. I'm like, dude, are these the only guys looking? So,
so true.
So one thing then, so you're coaching. What is coach? Are you coaching only agents? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm coaching agents. Yeah. Yeah. So man, it's one of two things. They're either been in the industry a long time. And the hard part about this industry is no one teaches you an exit strategy, right? We were talking about e-commerce offline, like we are building the e-commerce business to sell. No one knows how to do that really in the real estate world unless you build what we call a 7th level team, which is this huge organization. And like for me, I don't like complexity. I like simplicity. I like things to be as easy as possible. And so I never wanted that. I just decided when I had one agent and one admin, which they would have considered me a 3rd level. And like, there's a lot of people in between 3rd and 7th level, right? The industry would have said, you're nowhere close. I decided that I'm going to get out. I'm just going to get out. And I looked around and there was no one had written a book or built a model on how to do that. So I said, okay, I'm just going to figure it out. Right. Yeah. And I went and I stopped selling personally. I just gave all my business to my agent and I was still lead generating. And then I went to a buddy who's starting a team. I'm like, do you want to start a team with a bunch of transactions? Sure. Absolutely. Awesome. Pay me this, right? Consistently for literally for the rest of my life, pay me this. And as I generate and bring you business, and you can take the day to day. And I can hand it off to you, right? So most of what I'm teaching them is if they're newer, how to build the business the right way, get the right leverage, but then be in a position where they can relatively soon step out and still make multiple 6 figures. Yes. Or if they've been in the industry a long time, it's very common that they get to the point where they're like, I just have a big team. I don't even know why. This is not even that working that well, but I'm just doing it because I thought I was supposed to do it. But I have no idea how I'm ever going to stop. Right. Literally, my buddy this morning, who's not an agent, he was asking me about a property, and he said it's a property that was owned by this real estate agent guy who's been around forever. The guy, sadly, literally just died this week. He died at 90 some years old, and he was still an agent. So like the exit strategy shouldn't be you die and you're out of real estate, right? It should be you build it in a way that you can get out. That should be the goal of not all, but most businesses. Where's my exit strategy? So honestly, like that's really where my thought process, that's where I want to get my people to. But some of them are different stages, but yeah, I want to get them out of production, out of that business, and make multiple six figures a year so they can go do something else.
Okay. So if I'm getting this right, you're building a team, and basically you're coaching them. You're telling them everything you know. You're helping with leads. You're building this machine for them. You're stepping out and taking a percentage.
I did that right? For my own real estate team. Yeah. For coaching, nope. They just pay me a flat fee each month.
You're teaching that to them.
That's correct. I'm teaching that to them.
So they're learning how to build a business that is sellable.
Yes, that's right.
Correct.
Yeah. For the real estate space. Yep.
Yeah. And that's what's really hard with businesses. I think a lot of people get into industries like a realtor, insurance, anything like that.
Anything. Yeah.
And they jump in with the idea of, oh, I have a business now. Well, go ahead and sell it. Sell it right now. If you can't sell it, you don't have a business. So you have you have a job basically.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's basically what my land organization is. We buy and sell land. It's constant transactions over and over and over. There's really not a way to, I mean, you could sell the merchandise, I guess you could sell the product, and that's how you could get out, but that's it. What you're teaching people to build is something that you can package and sell, or package and walk away from and still get a return.
That's right. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, my buddy who knows a ton about money, I love that he says, if you don't have an asset, you are the asset. And what is an asset? An asset is something that always is working to generate you money. So do you want to be the asset, or do you want to have assets? Right. And I think that's just such a good point, because at the end of the day, now, I was 9 years in before I figured, I was 8 years in when I started to realize, what am I doing? Why am I just going to work this for the rest of my life? I don't want to do that. Right. And I don't want to get stuck. It's literally, I don't want to get stuck doing this forever, because that's not what I have other things I want to do. But when I started to realize that, how can I just turn this from, like you said, into a business that I manage and run every day? How can I turn it into an asset that cash flows for me, that is essentially as passive as it can get, 2 hours a week? How do I do that? And, one of the things I've learned, at least through my life, and I do a lot of thinking time and trying to process and learn and level up, is what I've learned is my answers aren't great because my questions aren't great, right? The quality of my answer is in direct relation to the quality of the question. So whereas before I was asking, how do I make my team bigger? How do I get my team to make more money? When that wasn't the real question. The real question was, how do I get out of production and still make $200,000 a year? When I finally, it took me 8 years, right? So I'm not that smart. It took me 8 years to finally ask that question. And it was like, that's the right question. Now I need to solve that. Right. And so I think we spend so much time solving the wrong problem because we never spend the time to figure out what's the right question. And once I did that, and now as I continue to try to practice that, changes everything. It does. Changes everything.
That's really cool. Yeah. I think too, as entrepreneurs, we're always battling our own minds, right? We're like, I need to work more. Well, no, I think I'm supposed to automate more, so we're always in this constant back and forth where we're fighting ourselves. So now as far as, so do you have a lot of automation then going on to where you don't have to physically be there to handle that?
Nope. So I built a super simple system, right? So we do a mailer and an email each week. My admin does that. And then I do a personal touch each month to my database, which takes me 5 hours a month. So no, it is like the more complex your business is, the harder it is to get out. Right. And I just think that's the problem, is we build it so complex because we let everyone, and I've done this. So don't hear me say that if someone's done this, they're a fool for doing it. But like, we let other people tell us what to do. We
Yes.
follow their advice. We build the complexity. And then we realize, like, I didn't want any of this. We either just keep doing it because it's already there, or it's too hard to get out of. And so we're like, well, I guess I'm stuck. I had a not a huge team, but I had 3 admin and I had 4 agents. And I was building it. And I literally came to the conclusion one day where I was like, I don't even want this. Why am I doing this? Right. I'm doing this to try to get out of production. Well, I don't even know how long that's going to take. This is not smart. And so the sad part is, and I hate that this happened for my people, but because of my mistake, I had to let a bunch of people go. I whittled down to 1 admin and 1 agent. Right. And then I said, okay, this makes sense to me. I know how to get out of this web. Right. I didn't know how to get out of the complex web of all those people. Yeah. And so I think we've just got to, there's pride. There's pride behind building a complex business, I think, of like, look how hard this is. And I did it. I'm not proud of you. No offense. Like, I'm proud of you if you made it really easy and you just like, look how easy this is. And I figured out how to do it. Yeah. We had a guest on the show that said, she said, you have 2 accounts. You have a bank account and an ego account. You only get to put it into one. Right. And I think the ego account gets in the way of people making smart decisions a lot of the time.
That hurts. That gets me.
Yeah, it does. That was tough. Yeah.
I gotta work on that.
Get out of the ego account, PJ. Right. Yeah, that's right. Wear hats, lift weights, look young. There you go.
Yeah.
And the bank account.
Let's hope that brings up the bank account and not just the ego.
That's right. That's right. It can do
all
that.
Right. So we got a couple of things to talk about. You have a podcast too. What made you want to start a podcast with all the other things you got going?
Yeah, man. Well, my buddy and co-host would say it's because I don't stop talking anyways, so might as well record it, right? But the truth is, I think like you, I mean, anytime I speak somewhere too or whatever, it's like at the end of the day, all of us just really want to help. I mean, that's really what the bottom line of this is. And I love helping the people locally, but I wanted to reach more people than that, and so that's why we launched it. We've done, I don't know, 130 episodes, something like that. Nice. And it's great. I love it. And it's just a fun way to get to know people like you. I mean, we would never have connected any other way. Yeah. So I love the connections and I love helping people think in a different way. And hopefully it's doing that.
Yeah. I think that's a huge thing too. That's kind of why I started this one was like, I think there's a lot of people out there that don't know what they don't know. Right. Mm-hmm. They simply don't know. They've followed maybe one train of thought their whole lives and no one ever told them otherwise. And so the group that they're around always tells them the same thing, whatever it may be, get a job, or with being a realtor, one way of doing things, work every day until you're 90, whatever years old.
That's right. Yep.
Right. But they don't know. Maybe he was never told otherwise.
Yeah, you're right.
Having a podcast like yours, and then also the coaching, teaching them kind of maybe a better way, or even just a different way of doing things, opening up their mind, seeing what else is out there. Are all your guests real estate related guests?
No, not always. I mean, we've had we just had the guy on who ran Dave Ramsey's solutions for like 15 years. Guy's brilliant. And nothing to do with real estate, but he's just brilliant. Like you just have those people who are like, I don't care that you do nothing with real estate. You're just smart. Can you come talk to me? And you're always surprised when they say yes. But no, I mean, it's certainly mostly real estate. We talk a lot to them, but so much for us is the mindset piece of it. So when his episode comes out in about a week, I think June 8th or something, I might've made that up. His name is Bill Hampton. Unbelievable story. And so it's broad but it is geared towards people in real estate.
Okay. The Faithful Agent podcast.
The Faithful Agent. Yep. That's right.
Okay. Excellent. Check that out. I will make sure I check that out and I will like and subscribe and leave 5 stars too.
Hey, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
If you're listening, you better do the same thing.
That's right.
One other thing we were talking about was your e-commerce business. It's nothing to do with real estate, but it's really interesting to me because I looked at that once myself. And kind of explain what got you into an e-commerce business and kind of how it's going right now.
Yeah. So my buddy Tyler, who's the co-host of the podcast too, great dude. He and I just wanted something new to try. We're entrepreneurs. Like, why don't we try something that we don't know anything about, which is kind of dumb, but also kind of smart. So we just met a bunch of people who were coaches and did land flipping, Turo, Airbnb arbitrage. And we met a bunch of those coaches. And quite honestly, we just went with the one that we felt was most credible. And the guy that we met, we felt was super credible. He'd done $100 million in sales on Amazon. Excuse me. Helped develop the first IBM, for the first IBM artificial intelligence. So, again, he's like one of those guys just too smart. But he has a coaching program. And so we said, all right, well, for us, it was looking and saying, because we don't know anything about it, we had enough humility to say, we don't know anything about this field, but we're willing to just listen and then execute all day, every day. Well, not every day and all day, but the time that we're spending on it. And so because they had such a good program, we said, all right, let's get into it. And man, it's way harder than I thought it would be, quite honestly. I mean, you go through a very rigorous process of finding and what they call green lighting products. So the goal for us is any product we're going to sell has to be a profit margin of at least $10. And that's after Amazon fees. That's after shipping it and getting it here. That's after the Chinese tariffs. If you get it from China, like it's all of those pieces. And so there's something like 2 billion products on Amazon and only 6% of them green light. Now there's still a lot of them, right? There's still a lot of products, but so it's just taken us time to navigate through that. And then we finally settled on what we wanted to sell, which we're selling vegan leather diaper bags because he's about to have his 4th kid too. We're like,
vegan
diaper bags
leather
make sense.
diaper bags.
Vegan leather
Not
diaper
what I
bags.
expected you to say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And so we went through that process, and it's so different right now. We're literally back and forth with our guy in India, who is our sourcing agent. He's developing the prototype. He developed one. We sent him back responses, change this, change that. He's developing it again, right? Getting the brand registration, all the pieces that go along with that. And in the meantime, we're also looking for just other products. The goal is to build out a brand with multiple products that you can go sell. So, man, we haven't even gotten to the selling stage, and we're 4.5 months in. Like, we didn't realize, and it's good because I know people have done Amazon that just kind of, oh, look at this product, how much it sells for, look how much I can get it manufactured for. It's so cheap. And I'm like, let's do it. And their profit margins are like $1-2 an item. Yeah. And I agree, as I've done this work, I agree that that's just not worth it, right? It's just not worth doing. And so going through this entire process of actually what they call urban mining, just looking at everywhere, it's weird. I'm just looking around, sitting at a coffee shop like, ooh, that's interesting. And I'll write it down and look like, oh, could I sell that? I don't care what it is. Could I sell it and make a profit? And so it's been really fascinating to learn a completely different way to look at business. It's so different. It's not relational at all. Right? You're trying to understand the avatar, but once you understand the avatar and you make a product, then it's like, how do I just understand the Amazon algorithm? And they're talking about things that I don't have a clue what they are, right? But it's brand building, it's understanding products, it's testing products. It's, we've done focus groups with people who we know have young kids. Like, how do we build a better bag? And then do people care? And we don't know yet. We hope they will, because we've done a lot of work. But it's just I'll just say this. As an entrepreneur, it's one of the things that I knew in that space. There's a lot of money. That space is not going away anytime soon. There's a huge company called Amazon that already has a massive platform for you to test your product. And so for us, it was, all right, let's try. And hopefully it goes well. I think we'll make, honestly, I think our bottom end, if we just didn't really do that well, we'll probably still make $200,000 to $300,000 a year. That would be us doing it like only okay. If we really crush it, I think within 2 to 3 years, we can be at 2 million a year, and they're selling for like a 4x multiple. So make that money and then cash out at 8 million. Selling diaper bag products, right? So that's honestly why we did it, is if we can really crush this, it increases our capital significantly to go do other things. And so it's really kind of a play to increase that capital quickly to let us go do other things. So hopefully it works at a really high level.
Yeah. I like this. So, okay. I mean, it's kind of a mind-blowing experience. First of all, the diaper bag thing. Maybe you already explained this, but where did you meet the guy developing this diaper bag?
Yeah. So no, this guy his name's Santosh. He's in India. One of our coaches recommended him. And because he speaks really good English, we connected with him first. And for us, honestly, in India, he can help us avoid tariffs. Whereas from China, you have basically a 6% tariff and a 25% tariff. So we're like, all right, we already have better margins just because of that. And then this guy specifically works a lot with leather type products. So man, it's so fascinating, because even as we were learning about, well, if you go to China, you need to, even if it's just one person and you're a dude, you need to pretend like you're a female who's an assistant to you, the owner, because they will not take you seriously. If you email them as a guy and say, I'm just looking to make in a bag, will you help me? They won't take you seriously, because in China, everybody who's somebody, a male, has a female assistant. That's how it works. So you need to know how to speak their language. Yeah. And if you, not their actual language, right. But if you don't, they're not going to respect you. They're not going to take you seriously.
I would never
you need to know what they care about. Yeah, right. Like you need to know what they care about. You need to understand, I know way more about inbound shipping on a boat than I ever thought I would need to know, like I don't know why I know it, but I do know it now. And so there's just so many pieces to it that it is overwhelming, but a very fascinating place to just like, all right, this is like really understanding a legitimate piece by piece business. And it will at least make money. And if it doesn't do super well, it's been a good experience. It sounds like it's really interesting. Yeah, hopefully it will be.
And you got this. I think this is an interesting part too. A lot of people ask, well, how did you know to do this? Right. For you, it was relationships, right? You knew somebody who knew a guy in India that makes diaper bags out of leather. I mean, it's just like, it's bizarre. Nobody, your average 9-to-5er does not have a clue how you got to that point. Right. So let's go back just a little bit on the group you are a part of. How did you find a group of people that could put you in these types of positions?
Yeah. So I'm part of a group called Wealth Without Wall Street. Love these guys. Huge shout out. They're amazing, and they just teach you different ways to think about money. I mean, it's changed all of my perspective over the past year. And so I went to their conference, so yeah, it's funny to your point, they had a conference in Alabama in January, and I wasn't going to go because we had a lot of stuff going on and personally for the family. But I just told my wife, I think I need to be there in person, because that's what really matters. Like what I'm going to learn is great, but the people I'm going to meet, that's what matters. And so I went, and I'm so glad that I did, because that's when I actually met the people who I started to develop relationships with, the guys that run it, Russ and Joey, who turned out to be my coach, Ernie. And then I met this guy, Neil, who's the head coach of this Amazon business, and asked him to say, dude, can we grab breakfast tomorrow? Like, how do I get one-on-one time with you and actually pick your brain and learn? And, just say, this is me. This is my buddy, Tyler. This is who we are. This is what we do. Do you think we can make this work? And like actually have a conversation. And so I think there's just a whole nother level, right? Of I meet you in person, and it gives me so much more insight by shaking your hand, by looking you in the eye. It gives me so much more insight to, is this dude legitimate or not? Right? Do they strike me as someone who actually cares? Because Neil could be the smartest guy in the world, but I'm like, he doesn't care at all. I don't want to work with that guy. He's not going to help me. Right. And so, man, just being in that room and being intentional to say, how do I just actually physically develop those relationships? Again, relationships are the true accelerator for anything. Man, I think like if you're intentional, I don't travel that much because we got young kids, right? I don't want to be gone. But if you're intentional with like, which rooms do I actually need to be in to meet those people? I mean, it changes everything. It just does.
Yeah. This is crazy. This is so interesting. So I think I went from thinking we're going to talk a lot about being a realtor to more about relationships and how they,
that's right.
how they get you to not only success in real estate, success in e-commerce, success in networking. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, anything, again, I think anybody can learn anything. The challenge that most people have is they're unwilling to take the time to educate themselves. I mean, I really think, well, you have the people that keep getting ready to get ready and they do nothing, right? And then you have the people that just keep working. They never educate. And the moment that I learned to slow down and just read more, so it's May 12th. I've read 26 books this year already.
Nice. Good for you.
Right. The minute that you slow down and realize, again, I don't want to outwork everyone because I want to be home. So I got to outthank everyone. The minute you realize that just requires a heck of a lot of time to educate yourself, you will succeed no matter what. Albert Einstein said, we can't solve problems at the same level of thinking that created them. Right. That dude was pretty smart. Can't solve problems at the same level of thinking that created them. Yeah. So you need to go have new thoughts, new ideas. That comes from education. It comes from listening to your podcast. It comes from reading good books. Right.
Yeah.
And so, man, I think that's the key for anybody. Anyone can succeed. I absolutely believe that anybody can succeed if they're willing to learn and fail. And if they're willing to learn and fail, you'll be fine. And you'll crush it. You just will. I mean, I have no doubt.
That's awesome. Garrett, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, man.
How can people get hold of you?
Yeah, dude. So they can go to faithfulagent.com, email me Garrett, Garrett at faithfulagent.com. And then I think my Instagram name is just Garrett Maroon. I honestly don't know. So they can check me out there too. Yeah, but I'd love to connect with anybody and help any way I can.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to contact you. I know I got a lot of questions for you too, after, down the road here too. So now, Garrett, we've asked a lot of questions, but the big question I ask everybody on this podcast, this is a big one. So, I mean, you need to get your Mensa level brain.
I am scared.
This is a big one. Get ready.
Yeah.
We are LandLife. I buy and sell dirt and trees. If you, Garrett, could buy land anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Anywhere in the world. Man, I think I would just buy the whole world and then just move around. No,
no one's ever said that.
Obviously. So, that's awesome. Man, I honestly, I would probably buy. I jumped everyone. Yeah. I would find a piece of land that is 60 acres, that is 20 minutes from a city or an area that's got stuff, but is quiet enough for us to homestead, raise our kids, to have just wide open space and be outside. Yeah. And so probably be Western Virginia. I know you're looking about that, but probably Western Virginia area. Because it's beautiful out there, and it would make my wife really happy. So hopefully she doesn't listen to this episode, because she'd be like, well, you said you're going to do it. So
60 acres it is. You said it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
No going back on that now.
No going back. That's right, man.
Right on, Garrett. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Absolutely, brother.
Thanks. All right, guys. Until next time, I'll see you in LandLife.